My name is Brent Edmondson, and I play bass for the Pennsylvania Philharmonic. The piece that I just played for you is from Mahler's First Symphony, and it has a very famous bass solo, which I've been fortunate to play with orchestras around 20 times. A lot of bassists never get to play that solo at all with an orchestra, and one of the basic feelings that I experience as a bass player playing a solo is anxiety and fear. And that's because we don't usually get to be heard by ourselves. One of the beauties of orchestra is being on stage with 100 other people that are doing the exact same thing as you. And so even though you're a performer, you have this kind of anonymity built into it that's very comfortable and very familiar. And so anytime that you have to step out of that role and be something else, like be the soloist, that can get really scary, and a lot of people struggle with nerves. I myself, for years, would shake uncontrollably every time I had to do something that would expose myself to the audience, and it's taken a really long time for me to find a way to handle those nerves and maybe even use them to my advantage when the time comes to play something exposed. The music that Mahler uses in this bass solo and for the whole third movement is the folk song Frère Jacques, or sometimes known as Brother John. But what Mahler did with that was change it from major to minor, so from happy to sad. And it's said that one of the reasons that Mahler chose to write this movement of his First Symphony this way was because he, as a father, had lost a lot of children that he had with his wife early in their life before they became full-grown children or adults. And Mahler carried around a sense of guilt and depression at having lost so many children, which was something that was actually quite common at the time, but still had an effect on people. So when I listen to this piece of music, I hear his sadness, and I hear this meditating or ruminating on this idea of death and of sadness. And one of the interesting things is that as a performer, you don't really get to think about that very often. You get preoccupied with your own feelings and your own problems on stage, much more so than you think about the feeling of the composer. But it's those few musicians that really do lock into that emotional connection with the person who wrote the music that really can convey something new and special when they play it. And that's something that I try to bring to this piece every time I get to perform it. Beyond playing the bass, I have been exploring a lot of things in this pandemic that help build me into a more complete musician and a more complete person. I started out playing the guitar before I ever picked up the bass, and I've been playing a lot of guitar and a lot of piano since the pandemic started. And I've also been building effects for the guitar, like distortion and echo and reverb and things like that. And getting my hands dirty with the creative process and making something new has been one way for me to cope with the loss of not being able to be around my fellow orchestra members all the time and not getting to travel from place to place and see beautiful new concert halls. So although part of me has had to shrink down and become much less prominent in my life, another part of me that's very creative and very interested in making something new and unique has had a chance to flourish for the last 10 months, and I'm really excited about being able to share a little bit of that with you and being able to figure out what that means for me in the future.